Have you ever dreamed of launching something big, only to be stopped by the giant upfront cost of a building, machines, and a full-time crew? Imagine if instead of buying land and hiring for years, you could walk into a ready-made factory that scales up whenever business picks up and scales down when it's slow. That simple idea, renting a factory instead of owning one, is the secret to understanding the cloud. Picture this. You want to start making handcrafted furniture. You could buy a plot of land, build a factory, buy woodworking machines, hire staff, and spend months, maybe years, on setup. Or you could rent space in a flexible industrial park where benches, saws, ovens, and trained technicians are waiting. When you get an order surge, more benches and staff appear. When orders slow, you pay less. That's the real-world choice many business owners face, and it mirrors the choice companies make about computing. In our analogy, owning a factory is like owning your own data center, the traditional way of running computing. You buy servers, the machines that do the work. You pay for electricity and cooling. You hire people to maintain hardware. And you guess how much capacity you'll need years from now. It's reliable if you guessed right, but expensive and inflexible if you guessed wrong. Renting the factory, on the other hand, is cloud computing. Instead of buying hardware, you rent computing power, storage, and services from providers who already built the space and staffed it for lots of businesses at once. So what exactly is the cloud, in plain terms? Think of the cloud as that big industrial park you can enter over the internet. The park owner has warehouses full of machines, rooms for different activities, and teams that handle maintenance and security. When you rent a room or a machine, you don't need to own or maintain anything physical. You simply use it when you need it. In computer words, instead of owning servers, you rent virtual machines, storage, and ready-made tools through the internet. Let's break down the parts of the analogy so the mapping stays clear. First, servers are like factory machines. They're the physical devices that do the work, calculate, store, and send information. Virtualization is like dividing one big machine into several workstations. Rather than buying 5 separate saws, you have one big spinning machine that can behave like 5 smaller saws when you need them. Containers are like portable toolboxes that hold exactly the tools a team needs and can be carried to any workstation quickly. Next, scalability and elasticity are the ability to add or remove workstations and staff automatically. In the rented factory, you can go from 2 benches to 20 in an afternoon when orders surge. That's elasticity, automatic scaling up and down. Pay as you go is the rental pricing. You only pay for the benches and staff you actually use that week, not for the empty space you're not using. Managed services are when the park owner offers specialized teams, maintenance, quality control, or packaging, so you don't have to hire each one yourself. Security and reliability are handled by the park too. A good industrial park has backup generators, fire plans, and locked gates. Cloud providers build multiple locations, backups, and monitoring, so your work keeps running even if one warehouse has a problem. That's redundancy and availability in cloud terms. The owner still lets you control who enters your rented room and what they can touch, but the heavy lifting of running the site is theirs. Now, let me tell you 2 everyday stories to make this stick. First, Mia runs a small baked goods business. She started at farmers markets, then built a website. During the holidays, she could sell 10 times her normal volume. If she'd bought a full bakery and hired permanent staff for the busy season, most of the year she would be paying for ovens and people she didn't need. Instead, Mia rented space in a shared kitchen, ovens, mixers, and an experienced crew, just for November and December, and returned to a smaller setup the rest of the year. She paid only for what she used, scaled fast for demand, and avoided the headache of maintaining equipment year-round. In cloud terms, Mia used compute and storage only during her peak season. Second, Jamal builds a mobile game. He launches with a small group of players, but a Twitch streamer features his game, and suddenly thousands of new players flood in. If Jamal had hosted his game on his own servers in his garage, he'd see slow load times and crashes until he scrambled to buy more hardware. Instead, he used a cloud service. As player numbers rose, the cloud automatically added servers to handle the traffic, so his game stayed smooth. When the traffic dropped, the extra servers went away, and he wasn't stuck paying a big bill. He paid only for the time those servers were running, the essence of pay-as-you-go. Both stories show the same thing. Renting resources when you need them lets you move faster, lower risk, and spend smarter. You might be wondering about cost. Isn't renting more expensive over time? Sometimes yes. If you run a huge, steady factory that never changes, buying can be cheaper. That's like very large companies that find owning dedicated data centers worthwhile. But for most people and companies, the flexibility to start small, experiment, and grow without massive upfront spending is worth more than the tiny savings of ownership. You also save on hidden costs, maintenance staff, unexpected repairs, and wasted space. Another reasonable worry is security. Giving someone else a key to your rented room feels risky. Good factory parks lock their gates, run background checks on staff, and ensure against damage. Cloud providers do similar work. They invest heavily in physical security, software monitoring, and disaster recovery. But you still keep responsibility for what you put in the room, your tools and plans. So security is a shared effort. The park secures the building. You secure the safe where you keep the blueprints. There's also the hybrid approach, a part rent, part own strategy. Some businesses keep sensitive operations in their own small workshop and use the rented factory for big orders. In cloud talk, that's hybrid cloud, a mix of on-premises hardware and cloud services. It's a way to get the best of both worlds when certain work must stay in-house. So how do you decide whether to rent or buy? Think about 3 simple questions. How fast do you need to start? How predictable is your demand? And how much do you want to manage? If you want to start quickly, expect spikes in usage, or prefer not to babysit machines, renting the factory, using the cloud, is usually the smarter choice. If you have long-term predictable work and the means to run your own facility, buying might make sense. Let's pull the thread back to the analogy. Renting a factory gives you ready machines, staff on call, and flexible space, so you can focus on what you make, the product, not the plumbing. Owning a factory gives you total control and potentially lower long-term cost, but it comes with the responsibility of maintenance, big upfront investment, and slower agility. The cloud is simply a modern, internet-connected version of that rental park. It packages compute, storage, and services so you can use them like tools on demand. To recap, whenever you hear cloud computing, picture that rented factory. Servers are machines. Virtualization carves machines into flexible workstations. Containers are toolboxes you move from station to station. Elasticity is adding or removing benches automatically. And pay-as-you-go is paying only for the time you actually work. Managed services are the park's specialized teams. And redundancy and backups are the generators and safety plans that keep you running. Keep returning to that image, and the technical terms will start to feel like simple business choices instead of mystical tech jargon. In the end, whether you rent or own depends on the story you want to tell with your business. The cloud doesn't force you one way or the other. It offers a ready-made factory that reduces upfront risk, speeds up launches, and gives you room to experiment. If you love tinkering with hardware and long-term control matters most, owning might still be for you. But for anyone who wants speed, flexibility, and fewer surprises, renting the factory is often the smarter move. Thanks for sticking with this factory tour of the cloud. If you want to keep turning tech into stories you can actually use, like and subscribe for more episodes that make cloud simple. Hit the bell to catch every new episode.